Welcome back to the 99, where we're focused on brewing a better competitive commander. I'm your host, Patrick Marlette, and this is Cold Brew, the live stream segment where I brew a deck list, a brand new one, live for you. And you get to walk with me through my whole process and ideas behind these lists. Lathril being a very interesting one at that. I'm excited to get into this Golgari girl. That was awkward. But a handful of quickie announcements. 3, to be precise. 1. There's a thing called Super Chat. There you go. Yada, yada, yada. That. Also, everything should be worked out with how that works out. Even if you subscribe during this stream, you're going to see a fun little animation pop up on screen. 2. What's the second one? Oh, Cold Brew. If you're new to the Cold Brew segment, I have never had Cold Brew on the show, actually. So today marks the first time I have Cold Brew in my hand whilst filming Cold Brew. It's just that hot now in New York. Lastly, and more importantly, there's a snake in my boot. Also, next week, I'm going to be gone for a period of 8 to 9 days. I'm going to be visiting family out of town. So, with that, I'm taking time off. I filmed out everything else for the time I'll be gone, to include the short for this week, the short for next week, the episode for next week. Ideally, it would have been a set review for Strixhaven. Don't watch any other set reviews. Just hang tight for mine. It's going to be better, trust me. So we're going to do that the following week, but next weekend is going to be a separate episode that I won't talk on, but was inspired by some recent games I had. And you might have guessed what it might be about, actually, if you look over in our community polls. But yeah, with that out of the way, how are you all doing? I guess I'll look at the chat. And if you don't know, we don't have the budget for a second monitor here. So I'm going to be looking at my cell phone to see what's up with everyone. It's 1 in the morning where you are? Fabian, I am so sorry. Were you watching these before at 2 p.m.? So here's the thing. I initially, because I work from home, any time of day is perfect for me. 2 p.m. happens to be ideal for me. However, speaking of community polls, I recently ran one, and you might be wondering, we registered, I think, like a 68% of people would rather watch these 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., right? Eastern Standard Time, or UTC -4, I don't know what it is for the rest of the world, but it would be 8 p.m. here. So instead of that, because I leave tomorrow morning, I'm trying to give myself a little bit of a break, doing this from 6 to 8 today. But we might test 8 to 10 in the future if that's better for everyone, but not if it's going to be 3 in the morning. I doubt you'll be able to catch it. It's morning where you are as well, Dorf. I'm sorry to say that. Lamar, I'm happy you're able to join us as well. It's 11 a.m. over here. Well, that's a little bit better than 1. Night shift, so I prefer this time. It's 6 p.m. here. Look at that. Perfect. You're welcome. I'm glad. Adulting. Yes. When you get you a second monitor. Yes. You know what's funny? I'm not sure where I'm going to be by the end of this year, but we might move into a different home. Hopefully that works out better, because it's always loud here. Really noisy neighbors. Hope you don't hear them today. We've been very fortunate with like the noise volume of the things around me, but we might be moving soon. And then I might have a bigger space and I might be able to get another monitor. Probably not after the move, but that would be great. Then I wouldn't have to do this as I'm monitoring your comments. But gang, yeah, let's talk about Lathril. Why don't we? Would that be good? Should we start? Lathril, Blade of the Elves. So, oldie but a goodie. I almost wanted to hit the eject button on Lathril because there's a lot of stuff I want to do, and because I'm missing next week. I guess that's the only thing I didn't really say off the top there. Because I'm going to be out of town, I will be missing the live stream for next week. So we're going to cut down the number of live streams we do this month. However, I'm extremely anxious to brew for Strixhaven, and Lathril's still holding my attention, but there's a handful of cards that have come out that are really interesting, so expect at least 1 or 2 cold brews for Strixhaven. They're moving through these sets so quickly that I can't arguably keep up. I'm still in the midst of building partner pairings from Commander Legends. Speaking of, before I did this, I got caught up in building an Arden and Tevesh. So if you ever want to play a stacks list that's an Orzhov, that's Voltron, well, there you go. Yeah, I think it's got wings. It may fly. We'll have to throw it out the window and find out. However, Lathril, Blade of the Elves, for 2 generic, Golgari, or Witherbloom. Vote down below. Are you going to start saying Golgari or Witherbloom? Rather start saying Witherbloom or continue saying Golgari? Legendary creature, Elf Noble. Noble, not a good subtype to my knowledge, but maybe we'll look into that. 2/3 body, Menace. Okay, she's getting in. Whenever Lathril, Blade of the Elves, deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 Elf Warrior creature tokens. Bam! Well, okay, so Elf Tribal, strong with this one. Tap 10 untapped Elves you control. Each opponent loses 10 life, and you gain 10 life. Well, I mean, that's kind of the finisher, right? Like, that's what we're looking at. That's kind of what we want to do here. So what's odd is that up until now, I've brewed for Selvala on the channel, and you've seen my Selvala list likely. I brewed a lot of mono green list. We had Marwyn for the first time on the channel with our recent Brew Wars. If you haven't seen that, I recommend you watch that after this, because this is important, because this will trounce any Marwyns. That might not be true. But my working theory here is that Lathril wants to do the same things those lists do, right? It just wants to be just like them. Like all those other girls that she's seen in the village. But because she's of noble birth, has never been able to play with the commoners. That sort of deal. That's her story, right? That's the painting she showed me. So she's going to want to do practically the same things. Unfortunately, Black gives us a range of tutors, which are fantastic. But it doesn't really give us the kind of solutions we want to do excessive bouncing mechanics. Like with Selvala and or Marwyn, you're going to use cards like Tamir Sabertooth, you're going to use cards like Cloudstone Curio. Black doesn't really add to that package, unfortunately. It would have been great if white, this is odd to say, it would have been great to have white, because then we could get things like Village Bellringer, as well as Emil, use Emil with infinite mana, do a thing. Green already has the tricks to do infinite mana, and we're going to use a lot of cards to manipulate that. But essentially, like we would a Selvala or a Marwyn, my working theory here is that we make infinite mana first, and then we utilize something like Kogla, Tamir Sabertooth, Cloudstone Curio, all these cards I've mentioned, to bounce something like an Eternal Witness, and or there's another one, Skullwinder, something like that. We might not use that. That's not a redundancy that's necessary. But we'll use something like Eternal Witness to play Mobilize, or play any sort of mass untap effect to continue tapping and untapping Lathril and all her friends, right? All her friends in the village. So cards like Priest of Titania, maybe Marwyn, because Marwyn's going to trigger a bunch, right? Is it non-token or token? I literally just played against Marwyn. I don't remember. Selvala might be good here. Obviously, we'll probably try to stick with these creatures. Priest of Titania arguably being the best of the ramp pieces to do the thing. And we'll have to work out the math on what is enough to produce the untaps and make excess mana to go untap Lathril. But we'll get there. So that's the idea. And obviously you likely have your own ideas. And I'm interested to read them now. I was going to brew this for my younger brother. Well, hand him this version. I'm okay with any hour I work from home as well. Duly noted. Greetings from Oakland Park, Florida. Golgari always for me. Yeah, I'm just a filthy Golgari boy myself. Witherbloom. Damn, represent your college. All right. Oh, wow. We're really in on Witherbloom right now. Okay. So, yeah, if you're a Witherbloom player like myself, then you're going to get giddy over this build. So, you know, I even just repping her right there in the top left, you can tell I really like Priest of Titania for this build. And I don't usually advocate for Priest of Titania. She just happens to be good here. Like, quite good here. I do think that... well, let's look at Marwyn right now. I think Marwyn and Priest are going to be like our core... Whenever an elf... Yeah, okay. Are going to be our core mana producers. And we can also look into... I think there's another, like, a Elvish Sage of some variety, Llanowar Sage, that is 3 CMC. It's basically a more expensive Priest of Titania. So we can do that. I think that ultimately this might be... If it fails on doing the trick, we're making a lot of bodies. So there could be a pseudo aggro strategy here. Like if push comes to shove, mind you, that's not what we're trying to accomplish. But then there's also, mind you, so far as making mana is concerned, we don't need to make mana with creatures like this. We can actually make mana with things like Earthcraft. Earthcraft, is it one word? Cryptolith rights. There's a couple of cards that are going to let us do the trick. Okay, here we go. Tap an untapped creature you control, untap target basic land. So we're going to need some basics up in here. And then those basics are going to have to let us cast green things. So Forest, Eternal Witness, Tamir Sabertooth, what we just discussed. You bounce that, recur something from your graveyard, that untaps everything. But basically, you can make the mana you need by using something like Earthcraft. Something like Earthcraft and Immobilize, right? Untap all your creatures. Ah, yes, all the dots connected officially. There's Benefactor's Drought, there's Vitalize. I don't remember all the names of the mass untappers, but there's a bunch of them that do the trick, and we can manipulate that with Eternal Witness to get the job done. So my thought is that we can use something like that, Earthcraft and or Cryptolith right as well. And I think it might be cryptocurrency, Cryptolith right? Is that it? I hope I spelled it right. Probably not. But essentially, it makes it so your creatures can tap for 1 mana of any color. Mind you, we can't combo with this on the same turn it comes down because our creatures are going to be summoning sick. And I'm going to encourage us to use something like Concordant Crossroads to make this work. I would hate it if we had to include something that gives our creatures haste and our opposing creatures haste. But if that's what we have to do, if we find like that is the best method of approach, then maybe we add Concordant Crossroads and a variety of like draw utilities to get the ball rolling, hopefully find this and do the trick. But again, because we're in black, you know, it does not really add anything to the core strategy, but it does add all the dumb tutors that every cEDH list plays with. So we have those. And maybe I'm mistaken. We'll look up some keywords in a second here to see if there's anything in addition to what I've been talking about that will also work to do an infinite combo. And mind you, you can also use things like Sword of the Peruns, Umbral Mantle, Staff of Domination to do infinite mana, right? So there's a ton of ways to do infinite mana. So Kogla is so expensive. Kogla is cEDH. If you've never played with Kogla, don't talk to me. No, that's not true. Kogla is expensive, but guys, if you're making oodles of mana, it's not a big deal. Also, mind you, Kogla's green, and Natural Order finds green creatures. It's not very difficult to make this work with Kogla. Also, bear in mind that Kogla hits any human, so there might be some other sub-strategies we can work in here, but Kogla's fantastic. I love this ape. So good. One of my favorite cards, arguably, from recent sets. Yeah, it just does a thing that green likes doing. It returns things to hand, which is actually really valuable. So this with Eternal Witness, and again, all those, you know, the 1 CMC spells I was highlighting just a second ago. That and Song of Freyalise. Vitalize, Witness, Sabertooth. Yeah, Sabertooth or Kogla, either one. Again, you just need those redundancies. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. Like it's just a different flavor. Sabertooth is a little bit better because it just hits anything, but sometimes it really depends on what you're facing. I remember a while back, the meta was far different. I'd gone against a lot of Linvala, Keeper of Silences, and those just shut down my basic strategies. So having Kogla around was a big deal because when he ETBs, he just beats the living crap out of Angels and or anything that's on the board, right? So it fights one target creature. It's a 7/6. So that's actually a really big deal. People are kind of off the Cursed Totem effect these days, so maybe not as relevant. But, you know, that could just be my local meta. Again, if you do find that you go up against Linvala, Keeper of Silence, and often, a lot of green lists sort of waver to her effect, the Cursed Totem effect. So Kogla is really good in those instances too. Best card in the deck, hands down, Quest for Renewal. Is this the thing that makes you untap all the things? Right? We're getting carried away here. Yeah, it's the thing that makes you untap all the things. Whenever you have a creature that's tapped, put Quest here, 4 or more. Oh, that's really cute. So yeah, it's like the Seedborn Muse, right? We're not going to use Seedborn Muse, I don't think. I don't think. I mean, actually, is this good with Seedborn Muse? Is this good for Quest for Renewal? Maybe. Yeah, because I mean, you want to do the thing. I'm trying to do the thing infinitely on my turn, and or if I have an emergent zone or something to get me going at instant speed, then we can do this on anyone's turn. But the thing is, Lathril, as we know, she's required to tap. The elves you tap can be summoning sick. So you can do this off turn, right? And if no one has a response or a way to remove Lathril, then you're in a good spot. That's not bad. Maybe we'll add those effects. We'll see. I think that Quest for Renewal is probably really good. Hi, Alex. I'm doing great. Do you think it would be worth to run Finn, Ornn, Frostfang line? Finn, Ornn, Frostfang. Finn, Ornn, Frostfang. I know Ornn, Frostfang, but what is Finn? Finnhorn Elf? Hold up. Oh, the Fang Bearer, of course. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player. Oh. You mean like tooth and nail? Sort of tooth and nail this combo out? This what's interesting is if I was going to do like if I had a tooth and nail in my hand, I think that this deck, what it really wants, and ideally I would also have like a Priest of Titania, or someone mentioned the other elf that does the thing, and I'll see if I can find it later. But essentially you can tooth and nail out some sort of combo solution. And I think in most instances it's going to be Eternal Witness and Kogla, or Eternal Witness and Tamir Sabertooth. Really depends on what we're going for. I think we might run Ornn Frostfang just for draw. I mean, that feels fairly obvious. Finn is... You know what? I wasn't even aware of his existence. But this guy seems okay. 2 poison counters? Yeah, you can kill someone like that. I mean, we're really trying to use Lathril as an outlet, right? That's sort of what plan A is in my mind. Plus it works at instant speed, right? We can do this. It doesn't say we have to do it at sorcery. So it's quite good at that. Also, just on the back end, you're getting 10 life. So if we wanted to add some sort of ad nauseum package here, we might, right? I think that Lathril might benefit from having not only dorks, but fast mana. So perhaps if we did add like an ad nauseum package, it wouldn't be bad. But this cocktail's got a lot of ingredients. You know, we need her to be powerful, right? And not just in the interim of attack. Like maybe we even add some light equipment package. But I think things like Invigorate are going to be in here. Things that are going to buff her momentarily for creating more elves, right? I mean, I don't want to go the elf ball route. I'm not sure I want to add a bunch of elves to this list to meet that requisite of 10. I'm trying to just bank on her combat damage. Maybe we do use Concordant Crossroads just to get her going quicker, and or at least Lightning Greaves. We'll see. But again, this is a lot of cards we're talking about, and you know, 30 of the cards are already here with our land base. So let's talk about our lands really quick. I think I'm gonna go the route of fast mana, dorks, rituals, Lightning Greaves, Boots of Swiftness, Boots of Striding. I never remember what they are. The other haste enablers, get her attacking, get some buff spells on the field. Maybe just buff her permanently. Maybe give her a sword. Who knows? But we'll start with our lands. We'll end with our lands. We'll start with Agadim's Awakening and Turn Timber Symbiosis. Fairly obvious. Great recovery card. It bolts you. Is it a big deal? No, it's not. Turn Timber Symbiosis. Is this a big deal? Yes, it is. If we do ad nauseum, then taking 7 is not good, you know. But this will get us, you know, a combo piece, provided we have the mana and just this in our hands. So that's not the end of the world. Also, if we wind up relying on Cloudstone Curio as part of our combo, we can actually use a basic land to bounce Turn Timber Symbiosis back to our hand and be able to cast it in that moment. So there's extra utility provided we have that. And one of the only lands I think we need to cover, we're going to use City of Traders here. The list is trying to go quickly. I want to believe that this has a place in cEDH. So Guiltleaf Palace, in like an ideal world, you would play this, reveal your Arbor Elf, or hopefully not Arbor Elf, Llanowar Elves, and then play the Llanowar Elves, right? I just feel like this could be a good dual land here. That's a unique one. I've never used it. There's that. Obviously, Nurturing Peatland. We're just using all the dual lands that have sort of added benefits tacked onto them. Are we using Tarnished Citadel? Sure. I think it's probably going to be used for colorless most of the time. And all the rest of these are very self-explanatory. So we can sort of dive into building the deck now. Pretty sure. You win and run. Yes. Okay. If we're talking about Quest for Renewal, you win in one rotation. You win if your opponents let you win in one rotation. if no one deals with your quest, you know, they could just zap the quest for renewal. They could zap the Seedborn Muse. So obviously it puts a lot of pressure on them, but it's also putting a target on your head, which is maybe what you want. I don't know. I mean, it's either they kill the Seedborn Muse or they kill Lathril at this point, and arguably the Seedborn Muse is the worst of the threats. So, okay. So on that note, kind of decided what we want to do here. Let's do the other elf. I think someone said it, but I'm going to look it up anyways. Add mana elf. Add mana elf. Yeah. That's not what I wanted. How does Priest of Titania read? Add mana elf. What the hell? Add, oh, they don't say mana anymore, excuse me. Let's revise that. Add elf. Okay. Allosaurus Shepherd in this list? Maybe. Elvish Archdruid. Thank you. I think that's what someone said earlier. So we're going to add that now. Elvish Archdruid. Priest of Titania. And to be honest, we might even stop there. Like, I don't want to have to consider running Marwyn for this. Let's see if there's one more. I think there is one more. Because between that dude, Priest of Titania, Cryptolithrite, and Earthcraft, that feels like enough of a redundancy, particularly with the fact that we have a lot of tutors, right, at our disposal. Do we need something like Wirewood Lodge? No. Due to the nature of this combo, I mean, this is good, obviously, for our, you know, the cards are going to make mana, so we can get excess mana on the spot. I didn't add it as a utility, but because we need to mass untap, I wasn't really thinking we would need this, but maybe it'll come in handy. Who knows? Who knows? Let's see here. Discard a card, create a bleh. Nope, don't care about that. Add one mana mana pool. Nope. As additional. Nope. Okay, it's really just those two. We'll stop there and see if that's good enough. Oh, you know what? There's also this dude. Var Kel. So, Var Kel, if you never met him, really sweet guy. Unfortunately, he makes your guys Elves of Deep Shadow, which doesn't do the trick. Right? Unless... No, it doesn't do the trick. So having black mana with a bunch of elves is kind of cool, I guess. Put a 1/1 counter on up to one target elf, untap it against Death Touch. Is this guy good? Yeah, it's an elf generator. It's only 4 CMC. Maybe we put Var Kel just for shits and giggles and see if there's something else there. But it seemed like Tyvar was good. I don't know with certainty. I've never played with him, but we will today. Let's see here. Elvish Archdruid, if you want the Lord and mana. Wirewood Channeler, I think, is the last one. Wirewood Channeler, you say? Wirewood Channeler. Is it on here? Am I missing it? I don't think I am. Let's look it up. Ooh. X to your mana of any one color where X is the number of elves on the battlefield? Oh. Is this really the last one? Let's see if there's not one more. Let's go ahead and try this out, but... Give me 1 second, guys. Elves. How about that? Tap 3 untapped elves. Can we do it with that? No. Tap 3 untapped elves. At 3. You know, Heritage Druid's not bad. I wouldn't mind. I've always wanted to play with her. So maybe. Right? That actually does the trick. Because if we have the mass untapper, all of our elves are untapping. We can tap 3 elves to include her. That could be fun. We need a Jiraga Tree Speaker as well. I mean, we don't need it, but it's amazing. I like Jiraga Tree Speaker. Other elves, yada yada, makes 3. Okay. Yeah, you know, we're going to add him for now. I don't think that this is my favorite Wirewood Channeler, but we're going to add him for now. Okay, Birchlore Rangers. Birchlore Rangers. Let's go ahead and just add Elvish Spirit Guide while I'm down here. Right. Let's do Birch Lore Rangers. Oh, tap 2 elves you control, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Well, it's only because the conversion here is better. I think we just need the 1. Tap 3 untapped elves you control, adds 3. So if I had like a Summoner's Pact, we can grab this in a pinch. Like if we had every other component to do the thing, right, to include our Tamir Sabertooth, our Eternal Witnesses down from previous play, yada, yada, yada. I've got a Summoner's Pact in hand. I can very easily put the Summoner's Pact down and try to get the ball rolling on this strategy, provided I've used a mass untap. Speaking of, someone's already mentioned it. Okay, so Benefactor's Drought. Benefactor's Drought. Let's just do all the core cards we've been talking about. Eternal Witness, Kogla, because of course Kogla. We're going to do Tamir Sabertooth. Tamir Sabertooth. We've got Mobilize. And I think we've got Vitalize is the other one, right? Okay. Vitalize is the instant speed one alongside Benefactor's Drought, which happens to be 1 generic and 1 green, and also lets you draw cards, and it has a cute combat trick. We don't really care about any of that. Elvish Guidance, but if the, I mean, there's Elvish Guidance. What is Elvish Guidance? Elvish Guidance. Hold up. I've never looked into elf synergy cards, so this is new for me, by the way. Oh, yeah. So this isn't bad. So, I mean, it's also, you can also get one of these in foil and it would look sick. We're going to add Elvish Guidance. So why is this good? We can even use, provided we have an Arbor Elf and Elvish Guidance is attached to a forest, we can use our Arbor Elf and anything that lets you untap a singular target, which we might not run much of, but there is one that I like a lot. It's called Emerald Charm. So what's nice about this is there's 2 things. There's actually, all 3 of these are actually good. If you've never used Emerald Charm before, this is something that you sometimes see in Savala list. I think most people have probably taken it out. But essentially, the first mode is what's really important here. Untap target permanent. This could be your Arbor Elf in this instance to untap the forest and or just the forest that has Elvish Guidance attached to it. You can also untap a Guy's Cradle with this. All very good, right? Anything that would untap a land actually might be good provided we have Guy's Cradle, right? We can make infinite mana that way. But in much the same sense, you can use Eternal Witness with one of your bouncers, Emerald Charm, untap the permanent being Guy's Cradle and or the Elvish Guidance land, and get those to do the infinite mana trick, right? But on the flip end of this, we also have Destroy Target Non-Aura Enchantment, which is every other enchantment. People aren't really on auras unless it's like an Animate Dead, right? There aren't that many popular auras I can think of that are actually played. But provided we can get at that person with Underworld Breach, we can destroy that shit. Also, if there's a flyer, like a cast getting way too comfortable attacking you because they think you're using Ad Nauseam, knock off the flying and just like break her. Break her with something. That's what I recommend. Emerald's Charm. I'm just going to add Emerald's Charm now. I'm not sure we're going to use it, but I like it. And we do have the Guy's Cradle in here. So the thing I want to do is just look at creatures that untap things. And now that I'm thinking about it, there's not going to be, we're not going to dig that deep. We're not going to dig that deep at all. I want to keep it within like 3 CMC and under. So Arbor Elf, we're obviously going to put in the list just because. Commander's Plate. But if you want to untap lands, I'm telling you guys, Desert Temple, very underrated. Yeah, it's not bad. Guardian Project, that's the thing that lets you draw cards. Wirewood Symbiote, sure. Scrib Ranger. I don't mean the one-shots. I don't mean the one-shots. Because in an ideal world, we're trying to tap and untap all these little things. Ooh, whenever attacks untap each other creature you control. If only we had like a aggravated assault in this list. But we don't. Again, we're not going to go that deep into here. So I mean, Magus of the Candelabra technically does it, right? If we're looking at Elvish Guidance and Guy's Cradle as a form of making infinite mana, again, all of these combos require multiple layers. So if you're wondering how we're going to do this with those cards, again, if you're tuning in late, Tamir Sabertooth, Eternal Witness, an untap effect like Emerald Charm, which we just put in, a guy like Magus of the Candelabra, you tap one thing for excess mana, he untaps that one thing, you use Tamir Sabertooth, bounce the Eternal Witness, play the Eternal Witness, grab the untapper, untap all the things, lo and behold, you may or may not have excess mana, tap the Magus of the Candelabra, do all of that, and provided you have infinite mana, whether the card untaps a singular object or untaps all of your creatures at once, you can just repeatedly untap every single individual elf and Lathril to do the thing, right? Seems convoluted, but it works in much the same way. I'm not too interested in the... Man, I didn't want to add this package with Quirion Ranger, Wirewood Symbiote. We might, though. I hate saying it. Let's stick to the route we're going, actually. This is divergent. I don't like this. We saw the fork. We took it. I don't like where it's going. So let me just save what we have. Yes, Wirewood Symbiote goes infinite with Priest and Sabertooth. Wirewood Symbiote, provided you have, and what is being illustrated here, if you've never seen my Savala list, just, I guess, look at that. The only one I might want to incorporate is Wirewood Symbiote, mind you. I'll put Wirewood Symbiote in. I can make that concession. But essentially, Wirewood Symbiote lets you bounce an elf to your hand. Once you've done that, you can bounce and it's going to be an elf that's not Priest of Titania or not the Elvish Archdruid, because we're going to use Elvish Wirewood Symbiote's ability to let me just see if I can show you guys. Wirewood Symbiote's ability. I was just looking at it. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Here's how this works. There's probably more than one Wirewood thing, but... So return elf to your hand. It's going to be our Arbor Elf or whatever we cast earlier. Untap target creature. It's going to be our Priest of Titania. We'll use the Tamir Sabertooth to bounce the Wirewood Symbiote. And guess what? We've got a Wirewood Symbiote and an elf in our hands and an untapped Priest of Titania. We can go ahead and cast the elf first, then tap Priest to make bleh mana, then cast Wirewood Symbiote and repeat that process for infinite mana, right? So that is not a bad idea. And then obviously you can use the same strategy again alongside any elf, all of your elves, Lathril, damage on the board. So yeah, we're gonna add at least Wirewood Symbiote. The ones that bounce lands into the air, if I'm not mistaken, require just a little bit more effort. Like there's other things you need to do there, but Wirewood Symbiote does the trick. Obviously, if a Shia is in the list, then you could do a Shia and Script Ranger, or you can do a Shia and Quirion Ranger, and that's a thing. I'm not really interested in doing that. I'm going to try to find us the most efficient route, and we can look over our combo cards in a second, but whatever the most efficient combo lines are, then we'll incorporate those, but anything else I'm not really interested in. Okay. Genesis Wave. Allurin. Allurin. Sabertooth's already in, if I'm not mistaken. Did I add him? No. Yeah, he's right there. Okay. Mobilize. All those cards are in. Okay, so all of those out of the way. Let's just get our basic elves out of the way. So we have Arbor Elf. I said Elves of Deep Shadow earlier. Elves of Deep Shadow. Arbor Elf, Elves of Deep Shadow. Llanowar Elves. Llanowar Elves. We have our Elvish Mystic. Are we going to use Birds of Paradise here? Maybe. Elvish Mystic. What is the other one? Llanowar Finehorn Elves. Finehorn Elves. Is that all of them? Is that really all of them? Lies. We can stop there. I got the Jiraga Tree Speaker earlier as well. Birds of Paradise is fine. I mean, it's not an elf. I'm very snobbish. Like when I use in my Savala list, when I ran it, I never ran Birds of Paradise because it wasn't an elf. So it wasn't useful to the combo. I think in much the same way here, we can probably avoid it because we've got enough shit just doing the thing that we don't need it. Coupled with the fact that, again, we have every tutor known to man. So why don't we take a second and fill up the rest of our list, because I want to take a good moment condensing this list down, finding the best avenue of approach to do the thing once we've accumulated that knowledge, then we can add in pieces of removal, things of that nature. Obviously, we're going to add in pieces of removal that are good, to play counter against our strategy. Whatever is counter against our strategy, we're going to want pieces of removal for that. And then we're in Golgari, so Assassin's Trophy. There's some pretty obvious ones I'm just going to add right now. Assassin's Trophy and Abrupt Decay are going to hit anything that's stopping us. So we'll just add that now. Abrupt Decay. Did I get all the elves? I don't know. We're going to do Dark Ritual. I did Elvish Spirit Guide. We're going to do Cabal Ritual. I don't know how many. We're probably not going to get Threshold very often on this, but it's mana. It's excess mana to pump out Lathril, to pump out some sort of combo piece, right? So that's good. We also want to do our Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox. We're going to do Lotus Petal. We're going to do Jeweled Lotus. That's pretty good. I've heard that one's good. Jeweled Lotus. Nope. Okay. And what else did I miss there? We're going to do not Mox Opal, I don't think. We want to do our Mana Crypt. We want to do our Soul Ring. But do we want to do Mana Vault? Probably not. Mana Vaults, Grim Monolith, those might be a little too much. Again, if we added a package that incorporated ad nauseum, then maybe we would want all that excess mana. Do we want to add something like Arcane Signet? Maybe. I'll add it for now. It might get the boot. We might be making enough mana as is. Oh, on the Lightning Greaves. Yeah. No, I agree with you there. So I was contemplating Lightning Greaves in the other one, and I hate to say it, but I think someone said what the other boots were Swiftfoot boots, right? Swiftfoot boots. So we want to add those two. It's just good to have. Because we want to keep Lathril around. Obviously, folks are going to see that and be threatened, reasonably so. I think while we're here, I'm just going to add Orin Frostfang as a draw engine. I'm seeing folks throw out draw engine names. Throne of the God Pharaoh, 1,000-year elixir. So Throne of the God Pharaoh is the one that does damage to your opponents based on the number of tapped creatures you control. Does Lathril put them in the battlefield tapped? Is that what she says? No, but I mean, I guess you technically tap them, right? I don't know about Throne of the God Pharaoh, but 1,000-year elixir's nice, right? If you guys don't know this, it's like a common Savala, maybe Marwyn card. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. So, obviously, if Lathril is removed, you can put her back on the battlefield and then use her ability to activate her whilst tapping your other creatures. So that's kind of cool, right? Also, it lets you untap a creature. This is going to untap our Priest of Titania to get the mana requisite to do this. We can add 1,000-year elixir. I'm not entirely sold on 1,000-year elixir here. Only because there's so much that this list needs that I'm going to try to condense some of these odds and ends utilities that may or may not be required. Staff of Domination. So Staff of Domination is a really good one because it kind of does it all, as the name would suggest. And I've got this really great one over here that I did not spend $150 for. That's just sitting in a box. So I would love to be able to play this card again. But obviously, if you guys don't know, the requisite for this is untap target creature, untap Staff of Domination. You need to make at least 5 mana, right? Because it's 1 to untap staff, 3 to untap target creature. At least 5 mana with your Priest or your Elvish Archdruid. And I got to tell you, just looking at the composition of this list so far, I don't think that's going to be difficult. I feel like Staff of Domination might actually be our best choice here. Staff of Domination. Okay. Done. So, and that's the thing, like, in my mind, because Lathril's 4 CMC, and you can't really count on having excess elves every single game prior to Lathril being dropped, right? So in my mind, it's like we can take this 2 routes. We can very quickly get her out, then use her to make the elves we need, and or we can play a slower variation of this list, utilizing stacks, removal, getting the ball rolling to a mid-range strategy. I think this is ultimately going to be mid-range anyways, but I think the more appropriate approach is to just slam, like we're doing now, all the fast mana and rituals that Golgari has to offer to really get the ball rolling on the strategy quicker. However, we're going to be deficient on our hand very quickly. I foresee that happening. So we'll go ahead and look over that in a second as well. I think Staff of Domination is probably the only one I'm going to run. Like, I don't want to run Umbral Mantle or Sword of Peruns. Again, we have black, so we don't need to force ourselves to use suboptimal things. So Wishclaw Talisman, right? Wishclaw Talisman is going to go in the list. Demonic Tutor is going to go in the list. Vampiric Tutor is going to go into the list. You know, I should really just have this like on a file that I can copy and paste, because it's usually all these cards I'm typing in right now are usually in every list, provided that color is a part of that list. Did I miss any good tutors there? I don't think so. Did Golgari get... Let's do a little search. It's been a while since I've done search library in Golgari. Maybe I'm missing something. By the way, I'll take a moment. How are you guys doing? Are you guys enjoying the latest spoilers from... I'm going to date this video. Are you guys enjoying the latest spoilers from Strixhaven? You can be honest. I think they've been okay. We're definitely doing a themed Brew Wars. I'm going to start altering the course of the Brew Wars. I find it's more enjoyable to have a theme and or concept behind the games than just slamming whatever's the most cEDH competitive viable whatever list, because that doesn't really matter to me. More about just entertaining you guys. So with the Strixhaven one, we're gonna do something special. I guess because you guys are watching this, I'll let you know. We're gonna not necessarily cosplay, but we are going to dress the part and get into proper school attire for this set. We're gonna try to rep individual schools. I've picked my school, Justin's picked his school, and then the two other guys I won't mention yet. But I think they've picked their schools. Between the 4 that were available, is there 5? I think there's 4 colleges, right? There's 5 colleges. Am I mistaken? Correct me. But how are you guys liking the set? My voice is too low, or is your volume too low? Guys, is my voice too low? You can tell me. Let me go ahead and look at Streamlabs. It says it's tipping like right at -6 decibels. That's right around where I want it every recording. Maybe suggest turning up your volume. Can you hear that ambulance? Okay. And Hatred and Vigor, we're just throwing out shit. Diabolic Intent, look at you. Thank you. I was wondering why my chat window wasn't moving. It's because I was stuck right at the top. Rings of Bright Hearth. We can talk about that in a second. Yeah, Worldly Tutor's good. We want that. Worldly Tutor. That's not how you spell it. That's not how you spell it either. Worldly Tutor. Ritual of Subdual. I have not... I don't know what's that. Winding Canyons is pseudo haste. Winding Canyons lets you cast, I believe, creature spells with flash. Right? I mean, if I could win... Oh, Deathrite Shaman. Look at you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let me just go ahead and save and continue this out. Not going to use Umbral Mantle. Nope. Sylvan Messenger if you're running heavy elves. If you're running heavy on the elves. Pact of the Serpent is gas draw here. Pact of the Serpent. We'll look at this really quick. Choose a creature type. Target player draws X cards and loses X life, or X is the number of creatures they control of the chosen color. Huh. That is good. I said chosen color, chosen type. We'll put Pact of the Serpent in for a hot minute. We'll see if it sticks. Did this come from the set with Lathril? Is that what this is? It's good. It seems like it was made for it. All right. Yes, so let's just go ahead and add those as well. I'm enjoying the spoils thus far, both spoil stuff, especially the Hate Bear that doubles as a silence. The Hate Bear that doubles as a silence. Did I miss this one? Maybe this is a deck that can run Glimpse of Nature, perhaps. So if you guys don't know, Glimpse of Nature is also a draw utility. I'll just throw it on the screen for you guys. Also, Vizier is a strong card draw. Vizier, well, maybe even Voice of Many, like that shit was really good when I saw it played. I mean, draw 3 for 4, it feels kind of off. We're going to look at our draw utilities in a second, I think, is what I'm getting at. But let me add the Eldritch Evolution. We're going to run Finale of Devastation. We're going to run Summoner's Pact, right? And we are also going to run, we're not going to run Sylvan Tutor, I don't think. We might add Emergence Zone really quick. We'll have to adjust our land base in a second, but I think that Emergence Zone might be good here now that I'm really looking at this. Finale of Devastation is good, obviously. I want to go over all of the tutors that we might have potentially missed. So let's just take a second to do that. Oh, did I add crop rotation yet? Nope. Okay. There you go. This is why I do this. I make, it's funny, this whole day I've just been making lists, and if you weren't here for the beginning of this video, the first list the list I made just prior to doing this with you guys was Ardent and Tavesh. Oh my god, it's fun. It is really fun. Entomb! We can even like entomb the solution we need for the Elvish, our Eternal Witness, which I think we put in, but let me just double check. Yeah, we did. Okay. Yeah, so we can entomb the solution for Eternal Witness. That's kind of cool. I don't think that's going to come all together. It's not going to be too handy, I don't think. Green Sun Zenith is something we want. Obviously, a good card for the list as well. Should add Winding Canyons. So guys, the startup cost for Winding Canyons is what gets me. I have a copy laying about me somewhere. If you guys don't know what Winding Canyons is, it's a land. I don't know if it's on the reserve list, but we'll take a gander at it. So until your next, I should just read the errata. Yeah, it's John Avon too. Holy shit, this changes my opinion. Okay, you may cast creature spells this turn as though they had flash. So like they're saying, this is sort of like a pseudo, it is reserved list. Oh my god, it's $50. I hope I still have my copy. I might look to see if I still have it. I might actually play this list if I enjoy it. You know, don't tell Belby, but I might do that. We can look at Winding Canyons. I'm not sure I'm too high on it. I need to look at the creature threshold, but again, we're going to have mana to do that, so it's not a bad include. I get why folks like it. A Scheming Symmetry we can pass here. We're not going to really break that card in the way we would with like a Tavesh list. Sylvan Tutor is just okay. I'm not really interested in top deck tutoring this way. Only Worldly Tutor and Vampiric Tutor seem to make the cut for me, and I think I added Vampiric Tutor as well. Are you guys hearing me okay, by the way? I just want to confirm that everyone's hearing me just fine. But my audio, what it says is that it's like clipping where I want it to. So I just want to make sure that's loud enough for you guys. Elvish Warmaster. Elvish Warmaster and Allosaurus Shepherd are Timmy Bonk win cons. Can I look at the Elvish Warmaster really quick? Yes. Let me see this. Elvish Warmaster. I like Timmy. We can try that. Oh shit, this guy looks like a badass. Whenever one or more elves enter the battlefield under your control, create a... See, now that... One or more, you only get the one. It only triggers once each time. Man, you motherfucker. I mean, he's 2 CMC, so I can understand why. But yeah, I mean, it's a... Speaking of Finn, right? This guy gives all your shit death touch. This is another way to utilize... do we do it? No, I don't think we do that. I don't think we go that hard on the elf tribal. I did not add Elvish Visionary yet. I mean, we certainly could. If you guys don't know, Elvish Visionary combos very well with all of our bounce effects. In particular, something like Wirewood Symbiote would be really good with Elvish Visionary. It's the one that ETBs and draws a card, which is oftentimes enough. So we might incorporate it. I just want to take a gander at just a handful more cards here. Survival of the Fittest. Oh my god. How can I forget this reserve list card? I thought that because I saw Fauna Shaman, which we could also incorporate, mind you. I mean, Fiend Artisan's the shit. I fucking love Fiend. Specifically in Belby. But I don't know if... you know, are we running any sort of like reanimate package here? Is there some Golgari... Is there something we can do that would be really good? Obviously, we can entomb our Tamir Sabertooth and our Kogla, right? So we'll add Reanimate. In the off chance that there's just something good in our opponent's graveyard, Reanimate's always good. I don't know if we're going to add Animate Dead or Dance of the Dead or any of that. I don't think we need... I don't think that's plan A, I guess is what I'm getting at. But maybe we add at least one of the enchantment auras that do it. That might not actually be a bad idea. We can talk about that in a second. Pyre of Heroes seems really good with these synergies we have, namely because on turn... Okay, so you can use one of your turn 1 dorks to convert it into... because it goes up 1. We can use this, and or we can use Birthing Pod to get the necessary creatures. We might even add those... Actually, no, those aren't bad. Pyre of Heroes would obviously go into Priest of Titania, which is good for us, and then the Elves we're generating with Lathril would be good for this. So let's do Pyre of Heroes. If there were a list, I think that this might be the list where this is actually useful. And I know that Birthing Pod, when people see Birthing Pod, they feel like it has to be played for combo and not necessarily value, which is something I disagree with. Any tutor is value, particularly tutors that put it on the battlefield. So whether we're comboing with Birthing Pod or not is irrelevant. We can convert any of our little shits into something else. That's the most relevant part. And I wouldn't have remembered Birthing Pod if I wasn't looking at this. So that might be it. Let me just go over what our... do we want like the 3 visits of the world, any of these? Probably not. It's still good ramp, but I'm not really fond of it here. Court of Calling is actually very easy to convoke. I totally forgot about that. Court of Calling. Maskwood Nexus. So are we suggesting Maskwood Nexus so that we can do... Are we suggesting Maskwood Nexus for cards like Scrib Ranger? Or I'm sorry, cards like Wirewood Symbiote? Right, because Wirewood Symbiote would become an elf. And then Wirewood Symbiote could bounce himself. It's cute. I don't think it's necessary because the only other synergy... It's just that. It's just that I can think of. That is relevant to our game plan with at least the list we're trying to build today. So maybe no to Maskwood Nexus. I really want it to be good, guys. Trust me. I've looked at Maskwood Nexus. I've thought about it. Jumped on it. Natural Order. Forgot to add that. Awakening lets you activate Lathril each turn. What else? What is the full name of Awakening? Did we talk about this earlier? We did talk about this earlier, right? I'll look it back up. Hatred, pay 19 life, deal 21 damage to somebody, get 21 Elf Warrior tokens, especially in conjunction with Culling the Weak. Oh, hey. I mean, that was going to go in there anyways. But Hatred? Hatred? I don't remember what this card is. I don't know if we're going to run Hatred. It's just a little expensive. Awakening Zone. Yeah, okay. So I'm hearing a lot of the Seedborn Muse effect. Let me just add Seedborn Muse, and then we'll take a look at what you're suggesting in just a second. I just want to go over... Ooh, Opposition Agent. Do we care? Yeah, we care. We care. Now, it's not advisable to run that much stacks if you're trying to do something proactively, but we can make space for Opposition Agent, I think. Praetor's Grasp is also going to be very good here. Why is that, Pat? Because I like Mana Crypts. I like Mana Crypts a whole lot. Some might even say I'm addicted. So yeah, I'll steal someone's Mana Crypt. I mean, I might steal it for some other utilities too, but it's there. We'll add it for now. And it's probably on the flex spot of our list, you know, one of the flexible cards for our list, but we'll keep it for now. Do we want Varigoth? No, probably don't want Varigoth. Birthing Pod. Do we want Birthing Pod? Totally. We can convert our elves. It's a little slow, isn't it? Still want it. I still want it. Man, you know what's funny though? Pyre of Heroes is actually better than Birthing Pod for this list. If it's just an elf we're trying to get, particularly one that just makes mana, Pyre of Heroes is kind of the one. Don't even talk to me about Defense of the Heart. Don't even ask me about it. We're not doing it. Okay. I think that's it. I think we've might have hit rock bottom here. So far as valuable tutors are concerned. And if you can think of any other valuable tutor I might have missed, let me know. Are we running Dryad Arbor? Of course we are. If you guys don't know the trick, Dryad Arbor with our Green Sun Zenith is gas. Gonna have to do that. Seedborn Muse and Quest for Renewal. So I'll add Quest for Renewal right now. Again, I'm not sure for renewal. In a list like this, is there other art for it? It's just the one. In a list like this, it's obviously going to be decent. If you run a reanimate package, I would add Slate in because it dumps your hand to draw. Slate? Is this like the Slate of Ancestry? Which Slate are you talking about? There's just the one I know of. Discard your hand, draw a card for each creature you control. Oh, that is kind of cute, isn't it? I mean, no one... Yeah. I own one of these. I own one of these in foil. You know, that's really not horrible. It's expensive. So expensive. At a certain point, you're like, do I just do this or do I just do Peer into the Abyss? Because imagine... What instant speed way can they just wipe your board and make you feel miserable? I don't know. I don't want to tempt my opponents to do that. Alpha Authority. Does Fierce Empath grab Kogla? I'm going to try to cheat out Kogla with Natural Order. I don't know if I want to Fierce Empath Kogla. I'm not high on Fierce Empath. I know it's a good card if you're storming off, but because the Storm Engine is in our 99 and it's not Lathril, I argue it's going to be a little bit more difficult to make great use of Fierce Empath. So I'll probably avoid Fierce Empath for this list. Cackling Witch. Addicted to what the crypt did. Yeah. I'm addicted to that pain. I like taking damage on my upkeep. Alpha Authority. I don't think I've seen this, so let me go ahead and take a look. Shadow creature has hexproof and can't be blocked by more than one creature. Hold up. Are you suggesting because she has Menace we run Alpha Authority? yeah, exactly. Oh, there you go. I didn't read your full remark. It's a little bit of a big brain play. I don't know. it's I don't know. I like it. I feel like Menace is going to be enough. I could be wrong. So Invigorate. How high are you guys on, and let's take a little poll here. Say yes or no to buff spells. Again, this is adding a lot to the cocktail here. We've got a really delicate balance of effects between all of our fast mana rituals included, our tutors, and then the suite of combo pieces. We haven't even touched any sort of removal or additional stacks outside of Opposition Agent. It's a lot of cards. So are things like Invigorate going to be thrifty for getting additional elves on the battlefield based off of Lathril's damage? Would you want to add more of these buff spells? Yay or nay? Yes, no, yay, nay. Let me know. Okay, this is interesting. Something Canopy is good. Okay. Let me just see here. So we got a yes, yes, no, yes, no, 2 win more. I'm assuming that's no. No. Fond, agreed. Agreed with the buff spells are 100% the best way to play this deck. Okay. I don't see a win without buff spells. Okay, so that's 6. I've got a 5 for no. I think buffs are pretty nice. So it's 5 to 6. Good pump spells, Invigorate, Might of Old Krosa, Phyto Burst, Scale Up. I agree with Scale Up. I agree with Invigorate. Might of Old Krosa is the one that's reliant on like landfall, I think. Is that accurate? It might be an even split, if only favoring just a little bit. Yes. So let's add at least a handful of buff spells. How about that? And we'll see if we leave them. We'll see if we take them out, guys. I do think that Vines of Vastwood is a good one, personally, because it's a double utility. It's not necessarily there just to do the thing. Also, why don't we look up instead the buff spells that add like hexproof? I don't remember them off the top of my head, so I'm just going to look them up. These are the ones I want it to be instant speed. I only want it to be instant speed. Okay. Hexproof and or Shroud. There you go. Blossoming Defense is one that's pretty nice. We should probably just add Veil of Summer right now while I'm thinking about it. Veil of Summer. Blossoming Defense is okay. Again, we're going to get a lot of elves, it seems, out of this. So Blossoming Defense giving us 2 might be enough. But my only qualm here is that on the attack, give her hexproof. They probably respond to that. It seems like a better defensive measure for a list that's utilizing one of your... It's better for something like Savala, is what I'm getting at, I suppose. I'm going to stay off of this. We'll look at the Might of Old Krosa, though. I forget exactly which one this is. I think it's the landfall one, though. Might of Old. Main phase. Excuse me. Oh, it's the main phase one. It's the main phase one. Yeah. This seems good. Might of Old Krosa. Yeah, we'll add Might of Old Krosa. And we'll add the... there's one more that I really like. I like Scale Up. If you guys don't know what Scale Up is, it's the one with like a snake on it. You know what I'm taking, or some sort of serpent. Yeah, you can overload it. This is one of the bigger buff spells in the game at 1 CMC. So we'll do Scale Up. And we'll call it a day with that. I think that might be enough. Heroic isn't really a buff spell, just protection. Yeah, Heroic Intervention. I saw that. Yavimaya Hollow. We don't have in here, but we can add that just to balance our land base out. It might be good. How are we building? Wait, are you building casual? Derek McCoy, are you saying that because there's buff spells? There's Might of the Masses. Berserk. Now, Berserk only really works. Again, this is sort of this is an ingredient for a Savala cocktail. Okay. I'm not going to say that this is good here because our girl is only a 2/3. And we're not trying to buff her often. I think that this is going to be a one and done sort of situation. Let me just save and continue here and see where we're at. Hatred. Okay. All right. Again, I'm getting hatred a lot. I feel like I looked at this. This is the 5 CMC one that's instant speed, right? As additional cost to cast a spell, pay X life. Okay, we do that. Target creature gets plus X until the end of turn. So we like this because it's begging to be countered. Why do we like this? We like this because it's $55. Oh my God. What list is using this? What is using this that wants it to be? Is it just because it's reserved list? I'll buy a gold border. I get why you like this. I get why you like this because it's like an insta-kill on one opponent, provided we get in on that opponent. We can't be using our Lightning Greaves with this because the Lightning Greaves, I want her to be protected while we do this because I feel like this is going to just eat removal. And we're going to be at a lot of mana doing that. Unless we got our Tyrell Kel on the battlefield, then we'll have the black and the means to do this. I will put this on the sideboard just because you've insisted. As you see, we have 105 cards and we're not nearly done with the list. So I will put this on the sideboard because Lord knows, $55. I'm already, the list is already asking you to use some expensive cards. It turns Lathril into ICBM, and then you get 21 Elves. Yeah, 21 Elves. Yeah, it's really dope. It does. I get what you're saying. It does the thing, right? It does the thing instantaneously, right? Let's see here. You get 21. I don't know about the 21 Elves is less relevant to me as opposed to her just killing someone instantaneously. That's kind of cool. But then obviously coupled with our untapped engines, then you've got a lot of Elves to tap. I kind of hate that Lathril has to tap herself as part of the cost. I wish she could just be one of the 10, but que sera. I understand why they did that, mind you, but that's interesting. It's always been around $20, apparently. I am very surprised by that. I feel like it probably finds a lot of play in a casual setting because instead of casting Ad Nauseam to storm off into a cool win, you're just gonna like eliminate an opponent by casting Hatred. I guess that makes sense. I don't own a copy. If I wind up making this list and I need to buy a copy, it's gonna be a damaged copy. Oh no, please load. I want to fine tune what we have here and discuss our strategies. So we'll see if we can get this to work. They just updated Tapped Out, and a lot of the mechanics have changed, so I'm wondering if that's why it's being a little sluggish right now. And this is new, having to hand select the kind of ordering you want. Okay. Okay. Did I miss the untap part? The untap part? There's an untap part. There's an untap part here. So, birthing pod. Let's just consider what birthing pod hits. Birthing pod can be our Wirewood Channeler into a Seedborn Muse. It could be our Lathril into an Oran Frostfang. So none of the birthing pod into the 5 drops is not important. Birthing pod into a 6 drop is actually important. He's an ape though, and that's a snake, so that's never going to work. Birthing pod might, mind you, I'm thinking about Pyre of Heroes while I'm considering this. Birthing pod would reasonably convert them into this, but then we also have things like the Court of Calling, the Natural Order that are just going to pump those out anyway. So just trying to evaluate whether we need birthing pod or not. Elvish Archdruid is meh, because we can convert all of these into this. I mean, mind you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Deathray Shaman's a human, right? If I'm not mistaken. Oh, he's an elf. Wow, Pyre of Heroes is great. Yeah, we'll get rid of that for now. So we're going to use Pyre of Heroes instead to do the trick to get us the Priest of Titania. Stoneforge Masterwork? Question mark? Stoneforge Master? Stoneforge Master? What are you making me look up? I'm gonna humor this. But if it's a bad card, I'm gonna be very upset. For each other creature that shares a creature type with it. Okay, so conceptually, we have an ever evolving Lathril. You know what? Honestly, this was a good suggestion. I would honestly prefer this over a temporary buff. I would honestly prefer something that's scaled with her. Obviously, an Invigorate into a Stoneforge Masterworks Lathril might even be better, right? So we just get the ball rolling on a real big engine. But we only need 10, right? And then we do the thing. An Illusionist Bracers. These are the ones that let you copy activated abilities. That's kind of nice. This also works with certain untap engines, so we could do that. It's not too costly to put on, but again, I think things like Staff of Domination are the cards we're going to actually go for here. I don't think we need Illusionist Bracers. However, I will keep Stoneforge Masterwork in my back pocket. I like this one. Alpha status is probably better. Did we look up alpha status? We looked up an alpha card. But yeah, keep throwing out the permanent buffs for each other creature in play that shares a creature type with it. So, mind you, it's the same mana value in total, right? So alpha status is 2 in a green off the bat. Here's what I'm going to say to this. I agree that it's better on face value, but if Lathril is removed, then alpha status is removed, right? I hate that auras don't have staying power. Like, they don't, once the creature that it's attached to or whatever its permanent's attached to is gone, it's gone. I kind of like the fact that this is an equipment that I can place on the battlefield for like one extra generic I have for a turn, and then it can just be equipped later on. And if Lathril's removed or if whatever's removed, then it's still there. Like, that's kind of useful to me. This also plays really nicely with if this is attached to Lathril. Let's just say that we did go for the Stoneforge Masterwork. This is on Lathril, and then later on we do decide to go with Savala or Marwyn. We can attach the armor. Well, for Savala, it doesn't matter. But we can attach Marwyn with the Stoneforge Masterwork and sort of, use her for the same trick as our Priest of Titania. I kind of like equipment more than auras in general. But I like that suggestion, though. They're both good. They're both A-okay. Toski is no. Oh, you know what we forgot that we just need to stop and add right now? We're talking about draw engines. So we need to put Sylvan Library in here. That's sort of like a core card. I feel like that needs to go on every list that consists of green. So we're going to add that right now. Despite how damn long this thing took. Toski is a hard yes. Toski is a hard maybe. Toski is just okay. Toski's no Orin Frostfang, and we've got Orin Frostfang in the list already. So we're probably going to stick with the boy for now. But Sylvan Library, we need to add. And I don't think we need to add anything like Sensei's Divining Top or anything like that. No. Okay. Guardian Projects when a creature enters the battlefield, right? We can look at this. Is this the... right? So they're the ones like the Beast Caller, Beast Tamer, whatever his name is. Like whenever you cast a creature, you draw a card. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield. So this isn't going to work with Lathril's tokens, but obviously our threshold of creatures is pretty high. We've got a lot of creatures here. So Guardian Project's not bad. It's 4 mana value is my gripe with Guardian Project. Another card I have sitting in the box, but I don't think it's going to come out of the box. Beast Whisperer. Skull Clamp. See, Skull Clamp is good. We'll add Skull Clamp in just a moment, as a matter of fact. But what I want to do is condense what we have here down, and then I'll add Skull Clamp in the Masterwork armor. Sylvan Library I knew would stick, so we just want to add that. Sylvan Library, I don't get why Sylvan Library is so good. I feel like Knight's Whisper is better. Knight's Whisper is 1 generic, 1 black. You pay 2 life, draw 2 cards, something like that. Why Sylvan Library is better is it's repeatable. And I'll take 8 damage every turn to draw 3 cards. Yeah. That's how crazy I am about Sylvan Library. Now, some would probably be, oh no, did it not get added? No, it's right there. Yeah, so some folks wouldn't play that hard, but because we're not using, I guess we can add Necropotence here. But because we're not on Ad Nauseam or any sort of package that really cares about our life total, we can use Sylvan Library as just draw. It's just a good draw engine. And it's in May, like you don't have to do this, but it's good. So let's go ahead and condense these down still. I think the 1,000-year elixir is probably going to get moved, unless I'm mistaken and there being a reason for us keeping this. I don't think so. Cloudstone Curio is nice just because we can use that with the Wirewood Symbiote combo. Wirewood Symbiote being this little doodad. It's going to let us bounce Elves and do the thing with Priest of Titania. So yeah, we'll keep that. That's Cloudstone Curio. Arcane Signet. We don't really need that. The Greaves and the Swiftfoot Boots. I'm going to say yes, because they offer protection. And that's the only reason I really want them. But the Haste Enabling is really nice because we can switch them on to the Priest of Titania and or the Elvish Archdruid, which is the same thing, as well as the Wirewood Channeler. Again, we've got this guy, this effect in 3 separate flavors here. So I think that's more than enough for us, right? And again, our Pyre of Heroes can turn a 1 into a 2-drop. We're not going to convert Priest of Titania into Elvish Archdruid, I don't think, with Pyre of Heroes. And then, of course, we can use one of our 3-drops to go into Wirewood Channeler. Opposite, none of these feel like a good switch into one of those. We might add in a Manglehorn later as well. Manglehorn is like pseudo stacks and just solid removal. Let me see here. What about elf removal? Exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I want to add the Skull Clamp. I think Skull Clamp is a better draw engine for this list than anything. Lathril, provided she's not doing anything threatening, I don't think folks are going to try to remove her. And then, of course, Lathril just by herself is almost like Tavesh. She makes 2 green elf warrior tokens. So these guys are great for her combo, but then also we can just clamp the shit out of them and draw cards. So I think that Skull Clamp is great. And again, it's just going to stick on the field. We can use it whenever we need it. We'll add Skull Clamp in a second. I think Necropotence is fine, but I don't see us having triple black very easily outside of having our Culling the Weak and or our Dark Ritual, right? Which should be down here. Did I not add Dark? No, it's right there. So Necropotence is great early. It's great late. We don't really care that it affects our discards. Do we care that it affects our draw on our draw step? Not even. I can honestly avoid Necropotence here. I know it feels like a card you always auto-include, but I'm not that way with Necropotence. Especially if we run Hatred, then our life total is really going to matter. And remember, Hatred's on our sideboard, which we might still do. I think Skull Clamp is better. I'd rather just go for Skull Clamp, if I'm being honest. I do like Necropotence, though. Don't get me wrong. So we're not going Ad Naus. No. Here's my thing with Ad Nauseam, guys. If you like Ad Nauseam, just play a list that's meant for Ad Nauseam. Play a list that's better at doing Ad Nauseam. This is not the list. If you want to play Ad Nauseam, play one of the current Grixis lists that utilize it well. Play my Rograk Tevesh list that utilizes it well. Those are lists that are aimed at doing one thing only, just casting Ad Nauseam or just casting Peer into the Abyss. If your list is not going to functionally operate as well as that, then why make that your focus? And if you're going to use Ad Naus for value, that's a different story, but I don't really see Ad Naus as a value card. I don't like playing it unless I have a strategy devised for it. And right now, as you can tell, we're not really built that way. We don't really care about utilizing Ad Naus for a win. Plus, it's better with red. Like Underworld Breach, dumping your hand with LED. There's a reason that Grixis cares the most about Ad Nauseam. Blue for the protection, black for Ad Nauseam, red for the Underworld Breach, Brain Freeze, all the other shit. Golgari is not the color you want to be in for Ad Nauseam. Okay. Did we get that out of the way? All right. There's an elf tutor that is also a dork. Yes, there is. The Elvish Harbinger. I'm not sure we're going to be on that. Other than that, I think our artifacts are good, guys. Let me just see that we're here. I'm going to look at the Elves last. I think that, honestly, I like Turn Timber Symbiosis a lot, but we've got a lot of lands that we're playing with. And we're on Dark Confidant. No, we're not. I think we're going to be on Dark Confidant. Because remember, Dark Confidant can be converted into Elvish Archdruid, right? This is rare of me, but I think I'm going to take out Turn Timber Symbiosis. And I might even take out Agadim's Awakening. I don't think it's really the list for that. We've got a lot of other utility lands that are going to be in our main land base here that we do want to fool with. And I might actually have to take out a handful of utility lands and or dual lands to just put more basics in. Because if we are trying to manipulate cards like Earthcraft, we're going to need more basics. Cryptolith Rites with the Mass Untappers are going to be really nice. Again, those shenanigans happen with Eternal Witness and our Tamir Sabertooth and our Kogla, right? So there's a lot to do there. Haste enabling is kind of important for all of this, which is the tricky bit. We just need to make sure our creatures can tap if we're doing Cryptolith Rites for that same strategy, and we can talk about what that strategy is in a second if you're jumping in late. Is there no Jeweled Lotus? I'm pretty sure I put it in. It's right there. Okay. Why not both? Why run Call of Duty COA when you can run Allosaur Shepherd instead and basically do the same thing? What is COA? Is it a creature? COA? I've never heard this acronym. Is it, what is COA? Coat of Arms? We're not running Coat of Arms. That's cool. It's 5 mana value. I'm probably going to avoid that personally. I like this. Keep your head there. I like this. Coat of Arms. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to run Coat of Arms. I like Elvish Guidance a lot. It's really funny. I think that this might sit on the sideboard though. The startup of this is just a little much. I feel like things like Cryptolith Rite, Earthcraft with our Mass Untappers are slightly better than relying on Elvish Guidance. But then mind you, Elvish Guidance works just extremely well with our singular untaps, right? But we don't really have many of those either. It's just Arbor Elf and right now Emerald Charm, right? This will let us untap a land. Damn, I hate to say it. I think we take Elvish Guidance out for the moment, but it might go back in. I do like it a lot. Don't get me wrong. Okay, so we have 100 cards now. I want to take out a handful more. And I keep coming back to Var Kel over here because Var is not a plan A for us. Let's look at Var really quick. So I got it. Coat of Arms. You made an argument for Birthing Pod just for play it for value, don't need a combo. But we can, what makes that consistent with don't play Ad Naus? Because Ad Naus for value is not really value. I don't see playing Ad Naus at 5 CMC as a real value proposition. Having something repeatable like Birthing Pod in a list that generates tokens is logically better than running a card like Ad Nauseam. If you're going to play it suboptimally, then I wouldn't be playing it. Birthing Pod to me, outside of being a combo piece, and first and foremost in a lot of people's minds, has always been a value piece. Tutor 2 field effects are great because it lets me find a solution I need in an instance as opposed to Ad Nauseam, which is going to require me to pay my life, dig up X amount of cards, and maybe hit what I need. Tutor versus draw and or put into your hand, there's a big difference. So in case you're wondering how these aren't comparable, that's why. I would rather get the solution I need, knowing what I can hit. And we took the card out. We took out Birthing Pod because it didn't hit anything or everything we needed, versus Pyre of Heroes, which is just better in this instance. It's just a redundancy we don't need at this point. And same thing with Ad Nauseam, but Ad Nauseam is going to rest lower on the totem pole here. We're not using either. Did that help? I hope that helped. Tyvar isn't as good as he looks. No. So we give our creatures a way to tap for mana, our elves in particular, but this isn't really great unless you're trying to cast Hatred and or Ad Nauseam, right? Or Peer into the Abyss for that matter. I think people just really like these cards in cEDH, and there's this warped perception that if you're playing in a list that consists of black, you must play XYZ. XYZ in this moment are Ad Nauseam, Peer into the Abyss, and Necropotence. Well, that's not entirely true at all. As a matter of fact, my Belby list runs none of them. My Belby list runs none of them. And it does extremely well. So, don't get confused overthinking you need to incorporate these cards into your list because it's part of that color strategy. It's not for every strategy. Just look at what you're doing first. We don't want Ad Nauseam here, though. Let's take out some lands and make space for removal. Mind you, though, don't get me wrong. I find that like mass draw is usually really good, but mass draw contingent on life loss in a list like this is not going to be as consistent as something as just like running a Skull Clamp. And I feel like regardless of whether you actually run Ad Nauseam or not, like when I play, well, that's not true with Belby. Whether you play Ad Nauseam or not, and you can just fess up to the table, like that's not what this list is trying to do. People have that assumption anyways, so you get attacked anyways. So then you're like, why the hell don't I run it anyways? I do think that Skull Clamp is going to be arguably just a little bit better here. We can sort of like tame our draws. Mind you, if there's a Hull Breacher, then it's not good. But you get the idea. We're going to take out some lands here. I really like City of Traders in this list because a lot of the things we want to put out have the generic pips. But you're right. Like initially I was thinking like Lathril just gets pumped out with that. Obviously we have Wirewood Channeler that can be pushed out with our City of Traders. We're making a lot of mana with our creatures as well. So I still like City of Traders even if it gets disposed of after we play another land. If you guys don't know what City of Traders is, it's like Ancient Tomb without the life loss, but you lose it if you play a land. I'm trying to reduce our land base to 30 is what I'm getting at right now. This is going to be tough. I don't think that Guildleaf Palace is good enough. But the thing is, I don't think Winding Canyons is good enough, yet we really like it. Add one colorless mana to your mana pool and or tap. No, I'm going to sideboard this for now. Unless there's a scenario that pops up to where I felt like, oh man, it would have been great if I could have played this creature at instant speed. What I do like about Winding Canyons as opposed to something like, and mind you, if you're looking, you see an Emergent Zone here. Emergent Zone lets me win off turn, whereas Winding Canyons can potentially let me win off turn. But depending on the combo line we actually play for, you'll notice if you've been with us this entire time that a lot of our combo cards are going to be instant speed and or sorcery speed spells that we're manipulating with Eternal Witness. So this is going to do the job better if you can see it past my image there. Emergent Zone is going to do the job better than Winding Canyon, despite the fact that it sacrifices itself. So I'm just going to put it this much higher. But we can still add Winding Canyons if we decide to. Let me see here. Trophy Decay are the best. Those are the ones that add. Yep, got them. Guildleaf and Winding Canyons aren't good enough. I agree. I think pulling them out is fine enough. Emergent Zone isn't worth it. Did you watch our latest video? Did you watch the latest Brew Wars? Won the game. Emergent Zone won the game. I've won a lot of games off turn because of Emergent Zone. I think that it could probably get switched out, but over what? I couldn't really tell you. I don't want that many generic mana producing lands, so if push comes to shove, I'll probably put Guildleaf Palace back in, if anything. I feel like Guildleaf Palace is probably going to come in tapped more often than not, and I'll get tired of that and put in like a Tarnished Citadel or something I really don't want to. I already put in Tarnished Citadel. That's fine. We'll leave our land base the way it is for now. I think it's fine. As is Autumn's Veil. So we have Veil of Summer, gang. We have Invigorate. So far as buff spells are concerned, we have Invigorate. We have Might of Old Krosa. We have Vines of Vastwood. And that's it. We're not really that committed to the buff package. And to be honest with you, I think the Masterwork spell is probably, like, just having that artifact would probably be better. So let's go ahead and change around some of this build right now. A turn 2 Lathril is the most important thing. Yeah, I didn't add Crystal Vein. We can add Crystal Vein, mind you. I didn't add it because I do care about the permanence of our lands. City of Traders gets a pass because in certain instances we can miss our land drops and just leave that there, and it's a good thing. But we might add Crystal Vein in a second, and that could be the replacement for Emergent Zone. However, I think I like Emergent Zone a lot. It just requires a little bit more tact in playing. Provided you understand how the list works and you've got the cards to do the thing, you're going to be in a good spot. We don't really have that many draw engines though, so we're going to add Skull Clamp is a good one. We're also going to add, we have the Oran Frostfang. Is it a good idea to add the creatures? We had Elvish Visionary come to mind for a lot of you. I don't like Elvish Visionary. I'm just weighing my options here, okay? Now, I like the creatures that do the thing because then technically we can just use a creature to... We can just... If we get infinite mana without an outlet, but we happen to have... It would technically be an outlet. We don't have a way to win the game with Lathril, but we're able to do infinite mana. I guess because there's like a Draneth Magistrate on the field or something like that, and Lathril's gone. Then we can use Elvish Visionary or like a Voice of Many or some sort of draw creature to draw our list, find relevant removal, yada, 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 get to playing Lathril, and or just repeat something that's in our list. I need to go over what we have in our list to see if there's anything we can use to just wipe out the board. There's no Beast Within or anything like that. We don't have a way to like beast everything and then Kogla everything. Although we probably could just do that. This is Elvish Visionary in case you guys don't know. Imp Seal's in the list. Yeah, we haven't played Collector Oof, and we've kind of limited our range of artifacts for Collector Oof, so we can add Collector Oof now, as a matter of fact. Seedborn Muse is in. Infinite mana and draw your deck wins, right? Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. Seedborn, Quest for Renewal, they're all in there. Craterhoof is not a card I ever run. So we could probably ignore Craterhoof. If you can make infinite mana, then you should probably just focus on doing that and like doing something else with your life. If you have to commit to reducing the board to nothing with a Craterhoof, then that's fine too. But that feels like a last ditch effort sort of deal. I don't want to make that concession here. We're going to stick with plan A. Combat's not necessarily my plan A. Oh, I wanted to add this Masterwork of Ingenuity or whatever it was. Masterwork. What was it called? Masterwork. Stoneforge Masterwork. I want to add this. I like this. I don't know if it's going to be good, but we're going to add it. Dang it. I really do think that Elvish Visionary is probably the one. It's sad to say. So sad to say. I don't like Voice of Many that much, although I feel like we're going to get Voice of Many to trigger the most unless there's like a Najeela player. I'd rather draw 3 cards as opposed to 1. It's rough. Rough times. I also want to leave space for a little bit of removal. So the question remains, do we add a draw creature? I feel like draw creatures are weak. I feel like draw creatures are a thing you do in a mono green list that's relying on that. I don't think it's good enough here. Null Rod is good too, but not 100%. So I like, my only qualm is that with Collector Oof, we do shut off one of our engines, but not enough to hurt us. We do have Staff of Domination in the list. I am with Kuma. Learns through testing that combat is the way. That combat is the way. For what it's worth, I thought Elf Ball good and Pumped Craterhoof bad. Experience playing the deck taught me it's the reverse. There's a 3-drop elf that draws 2 on ETB. So we missed it? Are you telling me we missed it? Well, a 3-drop elf that draws 2. You know what's interesting, though? If we do go the route of Elvish Visionary, at least we can convert without destroying our Priest of Titania. We could use, if again, imagining the Pyre of Heroes is out, we can convert one of our 1-drops into the Elvish Visionary. So that's not horrible. But let me look for this 3-drop elf that you speak of, because I'm curious now. Okay. I mean, this is a 3-drop that draws 1. Is that what you're talking about? Did I just glaze over this card you're talking about? I don't really care that it's an elf either, but if it happens to be an elf, I guess that's nice. Enters the... No. Is elf in the name? I'll take your word on it. We're going to go ahead and add, I think, just the Elvish Visionary for now, as odd as that sounds. All right, I'm not able to keep up with all this chat. It's Generous Patron. Generous Patron is a little too generous. Okay. Yes, Pact of the Serpent's in here. Okay, so let's just see how many cards we have left to play with. None. What kind of removal do we need for this list? We have Assassin's Trophy. We have Abrupt Decay. I mean, that's really it. What is going to hurt our list the most? Something like a Cursed Totem would hurt our list. But I'm not that worried about seeing a Cursed Totem. Something like a Linvala Keeper of Silence would hurt our list. I'm not worried about seeing Linvala Keeper of Silence. What other things hurt our list? It's really just creature activations that we're relying on to get the job done here. Obviously, something like a Grafdigger's Cage would really hurt our list. Something like a Weathered Runestone hurts our list because it stops our creatures from entering the battlefield from outside the, our graveyard rather. And not our both our graveyard and our library, right? So at least a handful of artifact removal. So we're going to add the Manglehorn here. I like Manglehorn a lot. This is just really good at shutting off a variety of cards, but namely something like Dockside Extortionist. If someone's trying to combo off with Dockside, your Manglehorn is going to stop those treasures from being useful, provided they don't have some way to untap it, like an Amulet of Vigor or whatever it's called. So we're going to add that, Manglehorn. I'm not a huge fan of Reclamation Sage, but because it happens to be an elf, maybe it's useful here. I don't really like Rec Sage at all. We can add Rec Sage, though. It being an elf, though, hold up. I'm going to add it for now. It's just 3 CMC for removal like that. Feels rough. But again, Pyre of Heroes. Got to think like you're playing Pyre of Heroes. Oh, yeah. Of the lot that you just named right there, Kuma, I'm going to say that Deadly Rollick is something I want to add really quick. Other than that, I've seen too many people misplay the shit out of Force of Vigor. So I'd rather not. I don't want to add. But you know what? We'll add that really quick, though. We'll add Deadly Rollick. I like that. Mind you, it's going to be off for a minute. But I think we can get Lathril down pretty quickly. What's the free... Is it a haze effect? What is the free green one? Would that be worthwhile? It makes it so that your creatures don't take combat damage, though. Obscuring Haze. Control. Commander. I think it's worthless, but I just want to look at it. I forget what it does. Bouncing Rec Sage can be good. I almost always put in Return to Nature, Nature's Claim before Rec Sage. See, now I can agree with that. The thing is, we have more common tutors for creatures than we do, a Natural State, a Nature's Claim, any of these instant speed removals you're talking about. So I kind of like having the bodies there for that. Rec Sage in this scenario is nice because it can sort of add to our elf count, right? So there's that. I do think 3 CMC is a little much, but our list seems hellbent on making mana, so we're probably good. But let me look at the card I was just talking about. Obscuring Haze, that's what it is. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to... No. So useless. So useless. Unless someone's trying to do a Fire Covenant, then I don't really see this coming in handy too much. Not really. Is there another static, like, Tyrell Kel, whatever his name was, a static creature that gives our bodies the ability to tap for mana? If you know, let me know, because that might be one last thing I want to throw on the list. But other than that, I think we're good. Gnarlroot Trapper over Rexage if you want more relevant elf. Gnarlroot Trapper. I'm not going to lie to you. Never heard of this guy. Okay. What? Add mana to your pool. Spend this mana only to cast elf creature spell. Okay. Target attacking elf you control gains death touch until the end of the turn. As just a piece of removal? Maybe? Yeah. It would help with the turn 2 Lathril. You guys are really hellbent on turn 2 Lathril. I think we'll get there. I think if you just mulligan aggressively enough, we might get there. We'll see. Let's see now. We've got 104 cards, so we're going to need to cut some stuff. Pact of the Serpent seems pretty darn good for the list. Praetor's Grasp probably isn't going to be as beneficial for us as it would a list that was concerned about doing Storm. So we're going to get rid of Praetor's Grasp. Eldritch Evolution is going to be great for pushing out value creatures. I think the best thing we can hit really in this world is Seedborn Muse. Orin Frostfang is pretty good too if we have the draw. If we're able to get the Eldritch Evolution out prior to an attack, then yeah, Orin Frostfang is fantastic. So obviously we're going to keep these. Demonic Tutor, Diabolic Intent. All of these seem good for the list. The Mobilize, along with the Scale Up, I'm really not too high on the Pump package, despite it being, this one being very good. Let me just go ahead and take a look at our other pump spells really quick. Yeah, I'm not really high on pumping. We don't have that many forests beyond the Shocklands, the Bayou, and then like the 2 basic forest. So how often Invigorate's going to be turned on, I couldn't honestly tell you. We do need to get rid of 3 cards though. Let me just, because I'm just not high on this idea. If we happen to need pump spells, we might go back to them, but got a gut feeling we probably won't. Benefactor's Drought's going to be good. Let's see. Worldly Tutor, Vitalize, Vines of Vastwood. Now, what my qualm with Lathril is that she's inherently going to be a lot slower than certain proactive list. She's definitely mid-range to begin with. So, I mean, it's got to, in a very magical world, I feel like we're going to get there quickly. We'll see. And I mean quickly like winning the game. I'm going to stop here. We've got what we've got. Let's test it really quick. See how it shakes out. Because I think the combo lines are there. We've been discussing them as we've gone through this video today. If you're tuning in just now, rewind it for a second. But at the very beginning of this video, I talked about all the combo lines I wanted to add, and we've added a handful more. But let's just see what this list does as it stands. I have a basic idea of what I want to mulligan for. I'll share that as we go. I'm not high on Rexage. So I have Rexage in the list, but it's not something I want to keep, I have to say. So we're likely going to get rid of Rexage in a second, don't worry. It's there because it's an elf, and then it happens to destroy artifacts and enchantments. And in most instances, we're going to use Rexage. We're probably going to be using it for an artifact. So Manglehorn is arguably much better for that task. This is a bad hand too. Let's see if we can't get one keepable hand. One keepable hand. Wow. No. Clearly not. Cocktail, too many ingredients. But this was just a lot of lands. We're going to just try to find a magical 7 hand. We're not trying to play this like we're playing an actual game because we've just made the list. But this isn't horrible. I don't like that I have a Dryad Arbor in my hand right now. But the simple fact that I have a Sylvan Library makes me feel like this hand is better. Obviously, the Skull Clamp's going to help once we're done with one of these 2 creatures. This isn't a great hand, though. Let's just keep it. I kind of want to try it. Okay, we'll draw a card per turn. Not our Mana Crypt. We'll find our Bayou. Put that into play. We're going to go ahead and just put the Llanowarbs into play and pass after shuffling. Next turn, what do we get? Undergrowth Stadium? That's better. You know, this sucks. Hope there's a Stacks player managing these people because this has not been good. This is going to be this. We're going to go ahead and play the Sylvan Library, I'm pretty sure. And shit, I might as well. All my cards on the table. And we'll go ahead. Yeah, Dryad Arbor we could use with Mobilize. Indifferent. Oh, when did I put Phyrexian Tower in here? Talk about your turn 2 Lathril. I mean, it is a turn 2 Lathril. It wasn't in our hand, though. Anyway, yeah. So draw, trigger, whoops. We get to see 2 more cards. Ooh. So, I mean, normally I advocate to just take all of them. We're going to take all of them. But I don't think we would have took all of them there necessarily. Let's just go ahead and cast Lathril. That's fun. There might be a better way to do this, though. Let's just cast Lathril. Okay. Well, that's what we wanted this whole time. Frickin' Dryad Arbor. All right, let's just imagine the Tymna player that's been farming draws this whole time, completely open. We'll probably go towards Tymna here. Just looking at my list, I think that probably just play the Hollow here. Like, the Dryad Arbor is so useless. To me, this is just Clamp bait at this point, and or Phyrexian Tower bait at this point. Did I draw my additional cards for this hand? Sorry. Did I? I did not. Yeah, I don't think I drew my extra cards, so we're just going to do that. This changes things. Okay. We'll go ahead and, man, there's so many things to do now. The Seedborn Muse is going to be really sweet. I kind of just want to play her, but I really want to get this Elvish Archdruid down. Now, again, we're kind of off from what we're trying to do here. We've got to mobilize that combos in tandem with Eternal Witness. We're obviously low on the elf count because we haven't gotten any elves yet. It's really just these 2. Archdruid will tap for 3 when it is down, right? Seedborn Muse, great. My only issue with Seedborn Muse is that it doesn't really help Lathril. Doesn't really help Lathril off turn unless you're doing the thing already. At which point you're broadcasting to the rest of the world that they should be removing Seedborn Muse and or Lathril, which I'm not too high on. I don't know how very effective Seedborn Muse is going to be. I like it, but I'm not certain it makes sense for this list. Seedborn Muse, in my opinion, is much better with something like a Thrasios in the command zone. At least that way I know I can sink my mana into something meaningful. If all I'm trying to do is untap a bunch of elves and drain everyone, well, if they don't have the solution, then congratulations, but otherwise I'm not really high on this, although its effectiveness here is okay. So what I'm really looking at here is this for potential mana gain. After Lathril attacks, we're going to have 5 elves. 5 is the magic number for which card again? Staff of Domination. That's what my mind is thinking right now. So part of me feels like the Mobilize line, the Mobilize, the Benefactor's Drought, the Vitalize, all that stuff can probably just be cut. We're probably just going to double down on tutoring the staff lines of play, utilizing one of our 3 mass tap for mana creatures, Elvish Archdruid being one of them. I'm just not high on trying to do the bounce trick with Tamir, Sabertooth, Kogla. All that shit's very, very slow. And because our commander isn't Savala and isn't Marwyn, we're not going to get there as quickly, right? What makes those Storm list effective, and this is not a Storm list by any means, is the fact that they have the mana resource in the command zone. So you're always able to play for that strength. Savala being arguably the best because it's also an outlet. It lets you draw cards provided you're doing the little bounce shenanigan. I really do want to make this about Lathril as the win con, but you might want to just add in a sub strategy here because you're making so much excess mana. You can very easily do a Buried Alive pile with this and win the game. Like, that's not out of the question. And mind you, we actually did not put Tooth and Nail here, so we can also just play for a Tooth and Nail out. Not that I want to add Makai's Triskelion or anything like that to this list because they're not... I mean, they don't really aid the list in any way outside of being a 2-card combo, but again, we make a shit ton of mana. Whether that just be Gaia's Cradle being on the battlefield at this point and or one of these Elvish Archdruid, Priest of Titania things. So if we're going to go for this, I honestly think that the better creature here is just doing the Elvish Archdruid, imagining everything's hunky-dory, going for the Vampiric Tutor into the Staff of Domination on the next turn, hoping we hit one of our engines that lets us, or not one of our engines, but something like a Veil of Summer to just protect our creature. I already have a bunch of changes in my mind I want to do like right now, but we're going to go through with this. So let's make some tokens. Whew. Tokens. Okay. We made 2. I just put this on the board. We have not cast this yet, but we will cast it. With this, with that for a generic. Bam. Elvish Archdruid. Are you scared? You should be. Bam. Yavimaya Hollow. Probably play the Yavimaya Hollow first. If Elvish Archdruid gets countered, rare, then that happens. But if they do have removal... well, I mean, they couldn't really respond to the Yavimaya Hollow, but just let them know, okay? So Yavimaya Hollow is going to be really good here because it offers the regeneration you need. Tooth and Nail for Craterhoof and what else? You stop saying Craterhoof. We're not doing Craterhoof, okay? We could probably do Craterhoof. If you're running Craterhoof, that's good. But I'm not really high on Craterhoof ever. But you can do Craterhoof. To me, relying on combat and Golgari, I guess, is fine. If we have to. Obviously, that's sort of what Lathril cares about, so I see the synergy there. But if you guys want to... If you somehow don't know what Craterhoof is and you've just seen it pop up in the chat a lot, it's this big old thing. It's kind of expensive. Yeah, it's still kind of expensive. Enters the battlefield, creatures gain trample where X is the number of creatures you control. So obviously... it is hasty, but your other creatures need to have been on the field for at least a second to make this work. I don't know what the threshold is going to be here to damage out the board. If there's an Agila player, they might be able to subdue this sort of line of play. Obviously, if you did like a fat Finale of Devastation into a Craterhoof, that will give all your creatures haste, right? So there is that scenario as well. I wouldn't recommend running like a Concordant Crossroads to give your Lathril creatures haste. I'm assuming that we're just going to try to preemptively build up our board state and go into a Craterhoof. I want to change a lot before we test this again, because I'm not really high on a lot of these cards. I know the combos I'd prefer are going to be the Priest of Titania or the Elvish Archdruid and or the Wirewood, whatever the hell his name is, coupled with a Staff of Domination, or Cloudstone Curio in tandem with Wirewood Symbiote, right? Someone was mentioning Maskwood Nexus earlier in the video. That might be a potential combo piece with Wirewood Symbiote, but I feel there's got to be another way to make that boy an elf that's not Maskwood Nexus, because this card is just too expensive. And also something that I'm never going to prioritize. 4 CMC, it's not that bad, I guess. But what's nice about Craterhoof is that you can natural order it. I just never play for Craterhoof, but we're going to take some stuff out right now. I don't like this. I don't like this. I still like Earthcraft and Cryptolith right? Quest for Renewal. This is a different take. I don't know if it's wholly better, but I'm not really high on these cards. So we're making space in our list right now. We're making space. So this is going to give us a chance to add more protection, maybe more draw utilities outside of what we already have. Someone said the Slate, right, of Ancestry. That might actually be something we put in the list now, because we'll probably have room for it. But it's essentially just a big old draw engine for the list, depending on what our board state is. Did I get rid of all the mass untappers? Emerald's Charm is still very good. I'm not going to lie. It's a decent utility here. It can probably get sidelined, though, in many a list. And so far as other buff things are concerned, I'm actually higher on these now. Having just tested that the once, I feel like this is a better avenue of approach, right? Okay, so we still have 3 cards. Did I take everything out? Natural order, draw. Okay, tutor, draw, tutor, 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 reanimate. Reanimate's biggest target is what now? Nothing really. I actually do like the trapper. What was suggested earlier. We could do that. If this means, is this really the best we got though? Is there another dork we can go for? We can do this if we want to. And it's a good way to insist that if her menace isn't enough, then it's a good way to insist that with the death touch she gets in. That's not so bad. I'm going to keep the land base as it is for now because we just have a couple of minutes left. But I do think that ultimately I am not that high on... I'm not that high on the tower, despite it being good. I think tower is just good with her tokens, though, ultimately, for pumping out spells. So maybe it's worthwhile on that end. An Emergent Zone, with the combos we still have in play, actually work. So what combos do we still have in play? So Eternal Witness is always good anyways. It doesn't need to be a combo piece. We could probably keep Tamir Sabertooth the way this is going, because Tamir Sabertooth with Eternal Witness, did I just kept the 1 on tapper? Man, that's not even enough of a reason. I just hate this. I hate this shit because because Savala and Marwyn favor the Tamir Sabertooth so much more than our girl does, Lathril. You might even be right. Maybe Craterhoof is the way. I might have to do that. We can Entomb Reanimate a Craterhoof. Just hurt ourselves pretty big. You know what? I don't even hate that. If that's like our main target. But the Entomb Reanimate package, there's really nothing else here that we want to get other than Orin Frostfang. I mean, you usually look at your big targets. Maybe some more buff spells, and I think I'm going to add just a handful here. We didn't add Autumn's Veil, which we should certainly add in a second as well. But other than that, let's go ahead and add those. How about the Ashaya combo? Maybe. Can you make the Codex to be broken in cEDH? Cody the Codex? Yeah. Thassa's Oracle. Polymorph. Just run a handful of permanents, like basic ramping permanents, and then put 1 creature in the list, Thassa's Oracle. And then you use a top deck tutor like Vampiric Tutor. You tap Cody to play your Polymorph spell. You target Cody with the Polymorph spell. You trigger the delayed trigger off of Cody's mana ability to get the top deck tutor, right? And you can even cast your Vampiric Tutor in response to this. But basically, you put Demonic Consultation on top of your list. You Polymorph Cody. Oh, look at that. Boom. Enters the battlefield. Thassa's Oracle. Where'd that come from? Then you cast your Demonic Consultation Entertainment Pack. The list contains blue and black. And the most efficient combo in the game right now is Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation. So without too much thought, that's how I would break Cody the Codex or whatever his name is. It's 5 colors. So you're really just going to have every single top deck tutor in existence, every single polymorph spell to manipulate, and then that line of play with every single piece of protection. That's exactly what I would do. Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Mana Vault. I would just put a handful of things that just push Cody out turn 1 and then have the proper mana base to get going on the main plan. I don't think it's going to do it that quickly, though. You would need a lot of rituals and fast mana on board. And mind you, once Cody's down, you can't cast your permanents. But that's not what we're doing today. I don't know Cody's good for cEDH yet because I haven't played it, but I think that anything in 5 color with an ability that tutors up shit from your library, or rather transmogrifies it onto the battlefield, is likely to be good. It's not a transmogrify. It lets you find a spell to cast. We're not looking at Cody. But I would build it for Polymorph in particular. So what was I adding? I was going to add Autumn Veil. Autumn's Veil. And maybe I do put Birthing Pod back in, because honestly, Pyre of Heroes is just better. I would rather just see if I get the Pyre of Heroes and rely on that. All right. What other protection spells do you want? What other protection spells do you want? I think that we looked at some, like the Blossoming Defense was fine. And we need one more spell here and we're good. The main lines of play for this list are going to be Cloudstone Curio with Wirewood Symbiote and or the Staff of Domination with any of our mass mana tappers, right? So part of the strategy is just going to be putting our opponents down as we go along to make this dream come true. Maybe we can add Necropotence just to get the ball rolling a little bit quicker on that. And I think that might be the only thing we add outside of this. And that should be 100 cards. Let's test it one more time. Um, 10 creatures including hoof. Oh. Craterhoof dominating the chat. I'll put Craterhoof in. I'll put Craterhoof in really quick. And we can kick something. Vines of Vastwood. Yeah, we've got Vines of Vastwood. There's really, I mean, I don't want to cram too many of them, but it's kind of necessary. Like, I feel like our list should probably focus more on protecting core pieces like the, you know, the elf tappers. I'm going to call them elf tappers. But we can add Craterhoof. It's such a casual card, but it's really good here. I gotta say. The fact that you just have all these bodies, it makes sense. And don't get me wrong, I've played Craterhoof and if you watch the show, Justin runs a combo cube. And I'll rock the shit out of Craterhoof there. But it just feels so odd in Commander. You don't usually get there with aggro, but I can see her getting there just off of the one playtest we had. I can see why that you would want to go for the combat package, like the buff spells. So let's see if this works now. I gotta kick one of these cards, actually. I think that we could probably just go down to 29 lands. I mean, how many hands did we see there with like 5 lands in them? Let's just reduce our land base really quick and call it a day with that. I think the thing I'm gonna kick is just because if Craterhoof is really the backup, then I'm not really too concerned about Emergence Zone. So let's just do that and go ahead. But yeah, Strixhaven. I didn't get any responses. I heard something about Lorehold being good. Our teasers end like April 1st or 2nd? It's not. We know the full set very soon. But let's go ahead and play test Lathril once more. See if we can get her out on turn 2. Do I hate this hand? No. Is this hand good? Not necessarily. One land is scaring me, right? But we've got our Mass on Tapper. So what do I like about this hand is that the Jiraga Tree Speaker's there, right? So that's some pretty decent ramp. We're going to imagine that the Deathrite Shaman has a target in some graveyard, and then Elvish Spirit is obviously going to help us push out our spell. Let's just keep this. I like it. I like it enough. If this doesn't pan out by turn 3, then obviously we're gonna move on with our lives. But oh god, yeah, Jiraga Tree Speaker is not the play right now. Knowing that I don't have another land in hand, we can't do that. Land. Oh yes. Okay. So wham bam, thank you, ma'am. We can cast Lathril doing this. Okay, so Lathril's down. We got a little bit of protection moving forward. We got Cryptolith right to help push out our cards. Let's see what we top deck here. Windswept Heath, never punished. Let's go ahead and grab our Bayou really quick. Okay, so is there a creature that can ETB to buff a creature? What is... I mean, that's kind of cute, right? It would be kind of nice to have a creature that could enter the battlefield and buff Lathril. Maybe that's where you go. This is... before we close out this video, because we're nearing that point, Lathril is really, really interesting. I do think that you probably want to play to her strengths, which is just dealing combat damage and really getting a bunch of bodies down. So having things like this is nice, but it would probably be better to have some one-shots that we can tutor up that are creatures. I think that would play to her strength really well. But with what we have now, I think that all we really want to do is swing at someone, get the 2, be satisfied. do this. See what happens. Oh, ooh. That's why we wanted Tamir Sabertooth still. We wanted Tamir Sabertooth for this scenario. Because we don't, I definitely took him out, didn't I? That's okay. We're going to stop there and then do this. Let's just pretend that there was another fetch land to get rid of. And of course we would use this for generic. We're going to hold the Mana Confluence, not damage ourselves. If we need to, we can Autumn's Veil off turn, yada, yada, yada. You get the idea. Move on. Mox Diamond. Great way to throw salt in the wound. We were top decking lands, but this is nice for never. Let's go ahead and what is the creature to grab right now that would save us from this predicament? Is it Craterhoof? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think so. We are making 5 mana, which is the requisite. If we had a tutor to get our Staff of Domination, we would be there, right? Just to draw the deck and do the thing. And by turn 4, so that's not bad. Let's do this one more time and imagine that Tamir Sabertooth was in the list. Mind you, even if we had Tamir Sabertooth, probably want to put Tooth and Nail in here, by the way, right? I think that's probably good. Tooth and Nail would likely get us, with how that hand just worked out, it would get us the Wirewood Symbiote and the Tamir Sabertooth. Right, so we'll put Tamir back in here just to have the Cloudstone on a stick, like on the end of a tutor. That's the one thing I'm going to revise before we end this, but we're not going to keep this. We'll probably take Reclamation Sage out for the Tamir Sabertooth, if I'm being perfectly honest. This is not a bad hand, mind you. I don't know why I am resetting, because we could just Imperial Seal for Jeweled Lotus and be satisfied, but I just want to see some other hands. So far as the Mulligan Guide is concerned, I was mostly upset that there was a Rec Sage that I just don't care about. But yeah, I would take that out for Tamir Sabertooth. That's probably the one-to-one switch. And this hand is not great. It's not really great. We do have our Staff of Domination. That's really cool. But I would rather have some ramp going into our turn. So obviously, putting Lathril down early is really nice. Just getting those bodies generated. And again, the way that worked out, we really didn't need the buff spells necessarily. Like, we had the mana requisite to do the combo with. So the Tamir Sabertooth line of play is going to be 2 to bounce a creature with Tamir Sabertooth. It's going to be 1 for the Wirewood Symbiote, and it's going to be 1 to cast the both the Wirewood Symbiote again and our Elf. So technically you need to make at least 6 mana is the way that's going to work out to be able to go infinite, right? So that's with Tamir Sabertooth. With our line of play using Cloudstone Curio, it should be less. It's going to be 1 to play the Wirewood Symbiote, ignore the trigger, bounce another elf to untap the Elvish Tapper for mana. You should be able to do 1, 2, bounce, 3. So at least 4 mana to make that work, right? So less there. Obviously, Staff of Domination being the best because it lets you draw the deck. That's 5 mana. This is... let's just keep it. Hey! Again, never punished. But we'll play this. Why not? Is this the best hand? No, but I want to play with Pyre of Heroes. So let's go ahead and move on from here. Wow, it's actually shaping up really nicely. This might actually be enough to do the thing. Am I wrong? Wait, no, we need black to do her. So we'll just do that. We have the mana for Lathril right now. I don't want to think that hard. But we do have the mana for Lathril. I do want to buff this girl really quick. So we've got 2 green, 1 generic floating. Let's just say we do it this way. I don't know if this was the optimal way, but we'll go ahead and just exile that with a Chrome Mox, do Lathril, whatever. Okay. And next turn. Okay, so the Pyre of Heroes here, is it going to be the thing that saves us? We have a command tower. This is black. We'll go ahead and scale up. We're going to scale up. This is tough. We're going to scale up here. Lathril is going to become a 6/4 worm till the end of turn. As a 6/4, she'll make 6. Let's just get that out of the way now. We've got 6 of these little elven warriors. I'll use energy to notate that. We can't win right now, mind you, because we don't have anything that enables haste. And really, in my mind, what I'm trying to do is conserve my mana to play an opposition agent. So mind you, I can do opposition agent with the Chrome Mox and an Ancient Tomb, or the Command Tower and Ancient Tomb. But right now, I think the best mode of play is to just put... If I don't have to tap Ancient Tomb and lose life, I'd rather not. I just want to put the Pyre of Heroes down. This operates at sorcery speed, though, right? Ah, shit, it does. Okay. So in an ideal world, we would... Man. Yeah. I mean, I really want to save mana for opposition agent, but let's just pretend that no one's going to hurt us. I actually still want to just keep opposition agent, because if we're able to steal someone's tutor off turn, right, we can effectively get... We would probably just... If someone used like a vampiric tutor, we would do the opposition agent, steal their demonic tutor, or just another tutor from them to get our Staff of Domination. But my only qualm here is that we're going to have a summoning sick. Once we remove one of these elves, we're going to have a summoning sick variant of... Oh god, no, we got to do the Derogatory Speaker. Rough times. Yeah, because we would want to do Pyre of Heroes on our Jiraga to get our Priest of Titania, right? And we would likely want to do that now, but to be honest with you, if you did this now, the board sees a creature that taps for... well, it's probably going to be more than 8 if we're being realistic here, because if there's another green list, there's likely more elves on the battlefields. So it's just a very big elf. That's a little scary, and I don't mind people for being scared. And this is tough. This is not going to get there quickly. I think ultimately what we're establishing here is that there is a line of play for Lathril that is feasible, but it requires a lot of moving parts. I will state that what I'm seeing with her right now is that buff spells are good. Buff spells are good, particularly buff spells in tandem with Craterhoof. Like, I think that if that is a side strategy for you, I think that makes sense. I think that Tamir Sabertooth should come in for the Reclamation Sage, and before we close this out, let's do that now. So that you can have like a Tooth and Nail line of play there. I will add the Tooth and Nail really quick. I think we have Crop Rotation in the list, so Crop Rotation can get us our Gaia's Cradle, and that will make that dream a lot easier. Let's just add Tamir Sabertooth. But it's not even like a sub strategy. Like if you push out that many elves, like we just made 6 elves right there, a Craterhoof can reasonably kill the board. So I don't mind that being there as a side strategy to infinite mana lines, utilizing the 3 cards we just talked about: Tamir Sabertooth, Cloudstone Curio, Staff of Domination, and then going into drawing the list with Staff of Domination, and then obviously using Lathril to kill the board, provided we have the elf count. So that's why the buff spells are necessary, so that you can get there sooner. But as it stands, it's probably going to accomplish that magically between turns 3 and 6. I think realistically that's what we're looking at here. So is this list proactive enough to sort of neglect running more removal? Probably not. I probably want to add a few more elements of removal, because unlike Savala, that can consistently win on turn 3, right, because of how she storms, Lathril is not really accomplishing that task the same way. She's definitely more mid-range, but she does have the support for that being in Golgari. So I have not been looking at the comments. How do you guys feel about Lathril? I'm assuming that you all have your own Lathril list at this point, from what I'm gathering here. So I have 29 lands and Agadim's Awakening on the sideboard. I don't have another. You can add the Turn Timber Symbiosis. Cabal Rituals in the list. Why Frostfang and not Toski? That is a very easy question, because Frostfang gives all your creatures Death Touch, and Toski is just indestructible. At least when you make that exchange, the next time you do the exchange, there aren't going to be creatures on the board. Does that make sense? This is 1 mana more and is this much better than Toski on a scale. Don't run Toski. Just don't run Toski. Run Ornn Frostfang if you're going to run either of them. It's not difficult to pump this out. Like, we've had excess mana all these games. I just never had an Ornn Frostfang in hand. I kind of wish I did. Natural Order probably would have been good in one of those games for the Ornn Frostfang, honestly. But anyway, guys, as I do with all these videos, I'd like to close this out by thanking my Patreon community. You guys are arguably the best. You help make all of this happen. I love doing these weekly cold brews. I want to continue doing these weekly cold brews. But next week is a no-go for me. I'm just not going to be around for that, sadly. However, come the following week, we're probably going to handle some Strixhaven legendaries. I haven't really settled on which legendary I want to tackle. I'm likely not going to cold brew the list we run in our monthly Brew Wars for April. However, I'm going to tackle something from the set. I want to see what else releases, but there's a handful of Boros legendaries that look promising. And that's all I'm going to say. However, Strixhaven itself is looking really promising. I'm happy with where this Lathril is. I'm sure that with a lot more fine-tuning, she can get a lot better. But the cocktail is very much different than what Savala or Marwyn would be. Where those are Storm List, utilizing big dumb creatures to get the job done, in, you know, Marwyn's instance herself, Savala, other creatures. Lathril is going to be slower by comparison. However, you can still definitely get there, and I think she's a fine commander at that. All right, guys, my name is Patrick Marlette, and happy brewing, babies.